today. Okay, we can see a little bee in the background. I always have animal activity back here. Well, it's just gray. It's horribly gray. It's cool, not too cold, not snowing. There's like these little tiny snowflakes trying to happen, but compared to a lot of places in the country, as usual, we're okay. But it's just gray, you know. I'm tired of it already. Yes, so today is Monday, December 2nd, which means too hot, which means that we are about 5 weeks away from moving. About 5.5 weeks away from moving. So we're leaving on January 10th, and then the moving trucks are leaving on the 16th. So we want to get down there. We're going to take a couple of mattresses and some kitchen stuff, and of course the animals. We want to get down there before that. We've got to go do some shopping. We have to buy a bedroom set and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, it's getting there. So the basement is almost completely packed up. I think I talked about that last time. And some of you did give me moving tips, and fortunately I'd already done them all. So yes, I have all my boxes marked for what rooms are going in and what's in the boxes. And then I'm grouping things together. So I have like crystals and rocks and stones all over the place. And so we're putting all those in one box. And then I have CDs all over the place, you know, because I still sell my own CDs. So we boxed all those together. And I think today we're going to work on lamps, because we can always do overhead lighting if we need to. We're going to start pulling artwork. As you know, my house looks like an art gallery. We're going to start taking that down and wrapping it. So I don't know, ever since I had that cold, I have this little catch in my throat, and I know it'll go away, but it is a little bit annoying. There it is again. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about a couple of things. So, as you know, I was following someone for cryptocurrency, and she's a medium. She's very talented, very. But it was really time for me to walk away. That's just what my gut was telling me. Not that there was any misinformation about the cryptocurrencies. As far as I can tell, she's been right on the money. She has, I was more drawn to her for her history in finance than I was that she was a medium. I've been around mediums all my life. I'm very intuitive. But what I didn't like about my involvement, and I was not that involved in it, is that I actually tapped her up for a reading. And, I just don't like myself when I do that, because I know better than almost anybody that things just happen when they're supposed to, and they always happen in a way that's the most beneficial for me. And so the fact that I did that really bothered me. It really bothers me when I do that. It means I'm not really walking my walk or talking my talk, or what have you. And that I just need to always trust my gut. And also too, when I see that a group is forming and they're kind of circling the wagons a little bit, and that's up to each group. I mean, they have their reasons, nothing wrong with that. But I that's when I know it's time for me to go. I'm just too, I don't know if I'm too much of a wild child, or I don't agree with, most people about most things. I don't. I do my own research, and I'm almost always right. It's rarely when I'm wrong. And so I just have to walk my walk, man. I got to do it. So, but one of the things that was being discussed, and a real key piece of information was being missed, in my opinion, was there's a couple of mediums that were talking about that people were really dizzy right now. Like, they just felt like they were just dizzy, or, they just felt like they weren't in their body, or they're feeling pressure. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because I talked about that a year ago in my in a YouTube video, which of course is somewhere in YouTube land that they destroyed it. where they put destroyed YouTube videos or whatever they do with them, throw them in the satanic fire, whatever. I don't know if you remember this, some of you might, and this came through Oppenheimer, right? And Diamond was talking about a friend of his who had requested through the Freedom of Information Act an unclassified document from the CIA that was done in the 60s. And the study was regarding grand solar minimum or solar minimums, and how through these solar minimums, how people become increasingly psychic. And this study, I've got part of it here. I printed it out. It's like 800 pages. I printed out half of it, and then I ran out of ink this some months back. When I move, I'm going to get the rest of the document. And the print is like this tiny. Right? So I'm going to sit with it with a magnifying glass and read it. One of my things to do when I get down in Florida is I'm going to have reading time by the pool. So, anyways, yeah, and it's all about, charge generation and thunderstorms. I mean, it is thorough. So that was the gist of it, is that when we have these cosmic ray fluxes, these solar minimums, these when the magnetosphere is thinning, which it does in a cyclic way, it happens every so many years, that we become increasingly psychic. And I know I don't know about you guys, but I've been dizzy for the last week. And Joe was dizzy last week. And I don't get dizzy. I mean, I'm dizzy, but I don't get dizzy. And then I started talking to other people, and they said that they were dizzy. And, some people just felt lightheaded, and some people were getting headaches. And, so, I mean, it was like, it just was a lot of people in my world, And so, I think the explanation that came through the two gals that I was listening discuss it, they were saying, well, the way that one of them was saying, the way that she could explain is that there's pressure to change. Maybe, I don't know. But I do like the fact that every time a solar minimum happens, that people react to it in a way that can be, what's the word for it? Measured, right? So remember, our solar minimum, that was something else too in this group, that it was just given that a solar minimum was just part of the hysteria of the internet. And we know, probably just about everybody on my channel knows, that we don't subscribe to hysteria, we subscribe to facts. And that a solar minimum is a cyclic event. I mean, it's just so easy. Go look at the cycles, right? This is not debatable. There are cycles, and there are cycles within cycles. And the fact that we have a couple of these solar minimums, a couple of these cycles converging, is something we need to pay attention to. And you know me, I've never said we were going to starve to death. I've never said that. I mean, there's going to be people that are going to wonder where their food's coming from, maybe, maybe not in this country, but maybe there will be. I know I'm not going to, because I always grow food, but maybe not everybody's going to be in my position. Maybe there will always be something at the grocery store to buy. I don't know. I don't subscribe to any kind of fear. I just say be prepped. Who knows, right? Who knows? But the fact that we've had all of these agricultural, catastrophes this year, and that's just this year, we've got to pay attention to that, right? So that's a solar minimum. It just is. And it's going to increase. We're just at the beginning of this. So the temperatures are going to cool. We've already seen monster snowstorms. And now remember, too, that part of that solar minimum is the reason we're seeing increased fires. We're seeing droughts, because what does it do? It activates these jet streams, or amplifies these jet streams, so they become more of what they are. Eventually, the whole planet cools. Now, there's a couple of areas, from what I understand, that really aren't as affected, and one of them is Alaska. And Alaska had a real warm year this year. So then we start to look at our history, and you look at the Bering Straits and you see that that's how people crossed over 12,000 years ago approximately, and I believe that was another solar minimum. So it's things like this. And at the time I was really researching this, I was researching agricultural catastrophes throughout history. It was really interesting because it was really side by side with wars. And in a lot of these wars where people were out, pillaging, they're out getting food. They were, taking over other villages and other countries. And one of those things was so they could eat, right? So, and then some weren't. But anyway, so I wanted us just to kind of talk about this. Please, feedback, love it. Yeah, that's something to pay attention to. So if you're feeling like your ears are plugging up, or that you're dizzy, or that there's pressure, this is part of the Cosmic Ray Flux, and it's going to increase. And that's why C60 is so important, because C60 fights radiation. So that was another thing I heard within this group, is that, well, not everybody benefits from C60. C60 is a deterrent to radiation, which increases when our magnetosphere weakens. So whether you think you're healthy or not is beyond, or that if the C60 affects you or not is beyond. It's about the protection against the increased radiation, which was one of the main reasons I wanted to take it. Okay, so I've had my say. Now, I want to show you my house. Not this house, the house I'm moving into. I'm going to show you the yard. Listen, I'm not going to show you my house. You know why? Because it's kind of fancy. I don't know. It's fancier than I'm used to. But I'm going to do some sort of I don't know, like an arboretum or something. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to do something. So where do you think I should put all those fruit trees? So you see, it's a real manicured lawn. It's really like Florida lawn, but there is so much I can do against the house, everything. So, I mean, right there in that little patch where you see like the red grass would be my herb garden. You can see along the house, more fruit trees. I have bamboo. So many possibilities. I could do an arboretum like right here. Not arboretum, but like an archway. I could grow persimmons. I could grow all kinds of things, squash, what have you. This is the side of the house, where kind of the front side. So I'm not going. I do have the guy coming out, Greg Canaris. I've got his team coming out in next year, I think in February, but sometime early next year, to help me start putting together, a yard that embraces and uses the principles of permaculture. So I have lots of room, palm trees, but so many things that I can do. This is the front of it. So you can see, if this is the aerial view, you can see, because it's a corner lot and it's not an HOA, boy, believe me, that was hard to find in Florida. So that means I can do what I want. But you can see there's already, a lot of foliage. There's, a lot of trees. Pretty sweet, huh? So yeah, that's my new house. Is that amazing? Can you see why I'm excited? And you guys, I've always lived in tiny little funky monkey houses, and this is my first time in a real house. Not that these houses aren't real, but it's like a real house. So pretty exciting. Yeah. All right. So Radical Gardener, from my garden to yours. Let me put this down here.